Bring this other chair over here. What's up? No. It won't take them. See if we got anybody. What's going on, man? So let's not talk about stocks for a minute. You can only talk about stocks so long, right? Most of this stuff's boring. Truth is, I mean, it can be a little fun, right? But repetition is the mother of skill. So in the little tag there, I said, let's talk about the Millionaire Blueprint. And I have a lot of videos on this. It's a path. Now, when I'm talking about it, I'm assuming you don't make a fortune. If you make a fortune or a bunch of money and you can't figure out how to become a millionaire, you're just dumb, okay? If you make a lot of money, it's super easy. Because the whole thing is just a pattern. Or it's just a formula, we could say. It's the same for everyone. Doesn't matter race, age, none of that matters. It's the same formula. And it's just time, right? Everyone has time. Everyone has this. You're born, maybe you believe in fate and you only have so much time on this earth, whatever. Or maybe you're going to live to be 100 years old, right? So we all have time. And it's what we do with the time toward this idea of the Millionaire Code, right? So if we're trying to get to be a millionaire, then it's time times amount. Obviously, the more money you can dedicate to the process, the better. But let's say you can't dedicate a lot of money. Well, it's fractal. Just like in the stock market, the whole game is fractal. Meaning some people can buy 10,000 shares and they can be shitty traders. Just because you can buy a lot of shares, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you have talent. In other words, you could be buying 10 shares or 20 shares or 30 shares, and instead of focusing on the fact that you're not buying or spending or investing or trading a lot of money, you focus on developing skills. Because as you begin to develop skills, the money will come to you. Money's not the problem if you have the skill set. If you could make 50% a year trading, there's a million people who would like to give you money. So money isn't the problem if you develop skills. And you don't need money to develop skills, right? Meaning the game is basically free. It costs no money on your phone to buy a stock or to sell a stock. It's commission free. The only thing keeping you out is knowledge. And so there's people like myself. There's a lot of people that teach trading stocks. You got to find the way that matches up with your personality where you'll do it every day, okay? So the Millionaire Code is just time times amount, right, times yield. And what you're going to find is that some things yield a lot more than other things. And usually yield is attached to risk. So the riskier the thing you're trading, whether it, say, be Bitcoin, which Bitcoin went up a shit ton, right? You had this massive run up. Well, so did tulips. So because something goes up real high doesn't mean it's valuable forever. And that doesn't make it a real asset. Because land in bumfuck New Mexico could go up real high because they think they're going to run a pipeline through it. And then they don't, and then it goes down. So that didn't make that land more valuable 10 years later. So the fact that things go up and down, that just happens because of fear and greed. Fear takes prices really low, and greed takes prices really high. And we see that in the stock market, we see it in the real estate market, we see it in the bond market, in the municipal bond market. We see it in all areas. And it's not dumb people that have these emotions. Really smart people get very emotional and run stocks up really high. Mutual funds buy stocks on an 80 RSI. Hedge funds buy stocks on an 80 RSI. Just because they have money doesn't make them smart. It doesn't. So the beautiful thing about this game is if you don't have a lot of money right now, you can learn the Millionaire Code, this concept of time, and the younger you are, the more time you have, right? And then amount. Well, let's say you don't have as much time. Well, then if you want to get the code working for you, you've got to kick up the amount. So if you're 35 years old and knee deep into your career, you can make up for lost time by the amount that you invest. But the younger you are, and this is why they tell young people sometimes to start investing early, which I don't necessarily agree with. I don't necessarily agree that that's a good idea, okay? And you say, why is that not a good idea? Because we don't really know what they want to do for a living. And so if you wanted to open a business or own real estate, then having a bunch of money tied up in the stock market wouldn't make sense, right? So you need to, this thing of the millionaire code, it needs to kind of be around some shit you actually want to do, right? So if you don't have any interest in stocks, don't do stocks. Like, don't be forced into doing stocks if you don't have an interest in stocks. There's a ton of things. All you need is something that over time, if you put money into it, will produce a yield and it'll increase. And if that happens, then you get the compounding effect. So getting rich or becoming a millionaire is about compounding. And it's the same in business, right? If you want to grow your business, you need more customers, which results in more sales, which means you need more employees, which is a compounding factor, right? So as you grow your business, you're going to have to hire and expand and push out. Like, well, it's the same if you're investing. It's the same as if you're doing real estate. So this is the code. Time times amount times a yield. So if you're not investing any amount at any time and don't understand yield, you're not, what is on my thing here? You're never going to be, something got on my thing here. You're never going to be a millionaire. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen because you think about it. It's going to happen because you're taking action. And $1 million isn't really a lot of money. It is a lot of money if you don't have $1 million. But once you get $1 million, you realize this is really not a lot of money. Millionaire is just middle class. You understand that, right? Now, you may think, oh, that's not middle class. Yeah, because you don't understand fucking money. Okay? If you have $1 million, you're not rich. On $1 million, you can anticipate safely you're probably going to make $40,000 to $50,000 a year in the stock market. Shit, you can make that working overtime at McDonald's, right? So, yeah, if you're spending the principal, but if you're spending the principal, you'll never get to $1 million because a guy who accumulates $1 million would never spend the principal. Being an investor, you're not spending the principal. You're not eating the principal. You're living off the gains or the yield, right? So we said times amount times yield. And so if you look on most compound curves, they go like this, right? And then way down here at year 30, it starts to go up. Well, here's what I figured out. Why do you got to wait till over here? Why don't you just move that over here? You say, well, how do you do that? Well, you control the, so we got time, right? And this is the time, 30, that's a 30-year time span. And then the amount. And what I began to realize is while I can't affect the time, I can if I do 4 times more than you, then I do 4 times more than you do in a year. And so in my story the other day, Elon Musk talked about working, 100 hours a week because he could then do what you would do in a year, he could do in 4 months. And then that means he would get 4 years for every 1 year. Well, that same concept applies to investing. And so if I could shrink this by 4 times, then I move this down here and it starts to go up over here much sooner. So I can affect time. I can't give myself any more time, but due to amount, I can speed up the process in which the multiplying effect starts to happen. And I'll show you how we do this in real estate. But the yield you can control too. You have a little bit of control. So stocks on average are going to average about 9.8% a year. Stupid people will tell you that's not true, but those are stupid people. Smart people know stocks average, round up to about 10% a year. Okay? And that's going to be an average. That's why they tell you to pull out 4%, because then you'll perpetually be growing, giving yourself a raise, and then when you go into a bear market, you don't have to sell your stocks. So stocks are going to give you about 10%. Most well-bought, purchased, self-managed real estate, you can earn 20% or more. I mean, I have real estate that earns, and I know it sounds crazy, but 40% a year. And there's people who say, well, that's not possible. Yeah, of course it is. I know a lot of people that do it. It's not easy. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to go look for it. The deals aren't laying around. Like your first deal is probably not going to be a 40% yield deal. You're going to have to put in work to find those. They don't just come to you, okay? They come to people. The universe has this strange way of rewarding people who deserve it. It's not so fucked up yet. Socialism hasn't gotten so far yet that it gives people things they don't deserve. And the people that get those kind of deals usually have been doing it for a while, putting in work, buying properties, investing, going all in. Like they're struggling. Like The people that tend to get hit songs on the radio and bands break out are people who've been touring and playing clubs for a long time. That's just how it works. People who win the World Series of Poker have been playing poker for a long time. It's kind of how it works. And so if you're waiting on a deal like that and you're not buying properties, you're never going to get a deal like that. Right? So the person that writes a hit book probably already wrote 3 or 4 shitty books prior to writing that book. And so it's this process of I said today on my post, you don't have to get it right, just get it going. So if you're trying to find the right stock or find the right investment, you're just never going to get going, and you're just never going to develop the skill set. You're never going to learn from your mistakes, and you're never going to develop the skills to become a real estate investor. So people will ask me sometimes, well, how did you learn to work on houses? I bought shitty houses. I sometimes paid too much money, which means I couldn't afford to hire people to work on them, which means I had to work with what I had, with where I was, with what I could do. And I had to make something happen. And so then I had to go over there after work, and I had to do it on the weekends. And that's how I learned to work on real estate, was after work. And so everything became, after everyone else did all the shit you do every day with job and kids and all that, when you do all of that, I would then go work on my fortune. And that's how that happens. And it won't happen comfortably. And it's when you're, like right now I'm working, right? I'm putting out content, I'm working on a new course, I'm doing a book. What is this? After work. Like I already did the stock stuff, already did my business, already did the real estate. Now I'm pushing on this. I don't need to push on this, right? I already have money. I already have properties. I already own the stocks. But what am I doing? I'm trying to expand, right? Trying to push my intent into the universe. I want to grow bigger and richer and bigger, and I want to help more people and influence more people. And that comes after work. Like I don't get to do that comfortably, right? And so that's how that works. That's how real estate works. And you might be saying, well, I have kids. Fuck those kids. You take them with you. Like you take them over there. You don't stop your life and revolve your life around the kids. You make them come with you, man. Like what planet are you on? And I hear people say stuff like that. And it's like, no, that's not more important. You bring them with you because the lessons you're teaching them is entrepreneurship, capitalism, and expanding and growing. You're teaching them the single most important lesson in life by making them go over there, in my opinion. Now, we may disagree on that. Maybe you think being a ballerina is more important, or playing whatever, or doing whatever it is they do for fun. I just disagree. And so I think you can't use your kids as your excuse. Mel, why are you calling me? Oh, sorry, I was getting a phone call there. Can you guys not hear me or something? All right, well, Mel, you calling me isn't helping my screen. So we'll just roll, and if it freezes, can't say socialism. Why the fuck can't I say socialism? All right, well, if it goes out, it goes out. I don't know what to say. I like hearing myself talk, so don't worry about it. I ain't fucked up my pause here. So, something got on my board today. I think I left it outside too long. So this millionaire code thing becomes about those 3 things, right? Time, amount, and yield. And that sounds real simple, okay? But we have to find assets that'll give us yield. And that could be dividend stocks. It could be trading. I make money trading. I don't really think of trading as investing. That's just ways of me making active income. And it could be real estate, houses. It could be a business. The number one way is the side business for making money. But you got to take that money and you got to push it into one of these assets classes, without a doubt. If you're not buying real estate, you're not buying dividend stocks, you're gonna die broke and poor. There's no way around it. That's the only asset classes that produce cash flow, man. Everybody can hear me just fine?
Hmm.